Hey, happy Thursday afternoon. It's been a long time since we read a regular book, and we're going to do so today. To Boldly Go. To Boldly Go, how Nichelle Nichols and Star Trek helped advance civil rights. How about that? It's a nice picture of her cartoon or drawing. This is by Angela Dalton, and illustration is by New York Times best-selling illustrator Lauren Simmer. To Boldly Go. Oh, look at these beautiful, bright pictures. Oh, just came from the Art Institute and a field trip, and just looking at all the beautiful art there. It's nothing like colors and drawing and expressing oneself. Oh, it's just fun. It was TV night, the best night, and I could hear the clicking of buttons as Dad searched for the right channel as the sweet, syrupy goodness of red Kool-Aid splashed into my glass. I knew the real treat was yet to come. Yeah! You remember having a TV like that? The antenna? Mm-hmm. Ooh, look at this. Look at this. Mom, Dad, and I settled into place, and as the opening began, I followed along out loud. Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Oh, yes. To be able to relax and anticipate watching a show. The show was Star Trek. And we instantly fell under the spell of watching Captain James T. Kirk and his crew make peace and live in harmony with different life forms across the galaxy. But he wasn't the reason why we watched. We watched to see Lieutenant Uhura Aruha? Oh, come on, Michelle. Uhura. Y'all help me. Perform her duties as the starship's communication officer. Hailing frequencies open, sir. I will watch. But how come I can't remember how they pronounce her name? I just know Nichelle Nichols. Lieutenant Uhura was played by actress Nichelle Nichols, and we burst with pride seeing someone who looked like us standing as an equal to make the future better for everyone. This was important, not just for my family, but for all Black people, because our reality told a very different story. Beautiful woman. Look at that. When Star Trek first appeared on TV, America swirled in a whirlpool of change. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other civil rights leaders joined together to inspire people to march peacefully for equality and the rights of Black people. Yeah, in the 60s. This was a very special time for strides, and our forebears, our parents, grandparents sacrificed so much. After Star Trek showed the possibilities of peace among life forms during primetime hours, the nightly news showed the real life suffering the marchers endured because of racism, attack dogs, fire hoses, jail. People watched as this happened to both children and adults just because of the color of their skin. This was reality. Yes. We're mindful of all that they went through, and so much more they went through we don't know about. Across the country in Hollywood, Nichelle was working to bring Uhura to life. In a time when Black actresses played servants on television, Nichelle had the unique opportunity to work with Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry to create the character Uhura. Nichelle worked on Uhura's backstory, explaining how she became a communications officer, leading a team of specialists to solve difficult problems. Nichelle also helped discover Uhura's name. It was derived from the word Uhuru, which means freedom in Swahili. For Nichelle, Uhura represented how she was seen, how she saw herself. Strong, independent, equal. Yes, I hope you see yourself that way. You are mighty, you're powerful. Even as a little girl, Nichelle was confident. Her parents had taught Nichelle and her siblings that they could become whatever they wanted and nobody could tell them otherwise. Growing up in a home filled with music, books, and a love for art. We were just talking about this. Nichelle knew at 5 years old what she would want to be: a performer. Yes. But at age 7, Nichelle became very ill and spent a month in the hospital. When she finally began to recover, Nichelle's doctor told her she needed exercise to regain her strength. Her parents enrolled her in ballet, and she fell in love with it quickly, proving to everyone she was a natural talent. I didn't know that she was a ballerina. So many of our girls go into dance, and boys, and they have it innately within them, creativity. But even with her talent, she was still reminded that racist people would always try to make black people feel like they were less than white people. Black people cannot dance ballet. Are you kidding me? Assembly. Misty Copeland? Oh. Grangete, plie, porte de bras, period. Remembering what her parents taught her made Nichelle determined to prove that this way of thinking was wrong. And she did. Nichelle danced ballet for many years. I have a lot of friends who are ballerinas. They started in childhood. African Americans. As she grew older, the love for singing, dancing, and performing brought dazzling opportunities. At 16, she toured with the legendary band leader Duke Ellington. Edward Kennedy didn't know that. Later, she won a small role in a movie starring many black celebrities who became her role models and lifelong friends: Maya Angelou, Pearl Bailey, Sammy Davis Jr., Sidney Poitier, and more. Soon, Nichelle became a rising star herself. And so, when Star Trek began, she felt confident that she belonged wherever her talents took her. I hope you feel confident, not in yourself, but in a power that surpasses all efforts out here. But Hollywood had other ideas. Working on the studio a lot, Nichelle experienced the same painful reminders from her childhood that white people did not treat black people as equals, no matter how talented they were. You don't work here. Even the Star Trek characters she had worked so hard to bring to life became less visible on the show. We've been ordered not to give you your fan mail in the mailroom. Can you believe this mess? Nichelle no longer felt strong or confident, and it seemed neither she nor her character would ever be seen as important or equal. She decided there was only one thing she could do. Head held high, she walked into Star Trek producer Gene Roddenberry's office and told him she was quitting the show. Nichelle, please think about it, he pleaded with her. Isn't this something? Didn't know all this. The next evening, Nichelle appeared at a fundraiser as a special guest. As her eager fans gathered around her, the event host approached her. Nichelle, there is someone who would like to meet you. The host explained he's a big fan of Star Trek and Uhura. Turning around, Nichelle locked eyes with the fan. Is this happening? She thought to herself. Was it really him? Who do you think it was? Dr. Spock? William Shatner? Let's see. Standing before her was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yes, he said, I am that fan. What a wonderful surprise. Oh my goodness. As Dr. King explained how Star Trek was the only show he and his wife allowed their children to stay up late to watch, the gravity of her decision to leave the show pulled Nichelle back to reality. Thank you, Dr. King, but I plan to leave Star Trek. Dr. King was shocked. Don't you realize how important your character is? Nichelle's head swirled with all the reasons she had to quit the show, but she continued to listen to Dr. King. Yes. You have opened a door that must not be allowed to close, he said. Don't you see that you're not just a role model for Black children? You're important for people who don't look like us. For the first time, the world sees us as we should be seen, as equals, as intelligent people. Yes, we're all role models. Let's live it out. Nichelle thought about all the Black people enduring racism every day of their lives, just like she was. Her world tilted as she realized just how important she was to the show. Her presence on Star Trek was history in the making. Perhaps Nichelle thought Uhura is a symbol of hope, a role model. She knew what she needed to do. And you know what you need to do. Endure, endure. When the Star Trek crew returned to the next season, Lieutenant Uhura reported for duty on the Starship Enterprise. And like the civil rights movement, while some things slowly began to change, many things stayed the same. Her lines were still cut. Uhura's character was never fully developed the way Nichelle had imagined she could be, but she never forgot what her presence meant to the lives of the people who looked like her, and neither did they. Hailing frequencies open, sir. Yeah. I know it can be discouraging sometimes. You might feel like you're alone, but hold on. You're making a difference. For over 50 years, millions of Nichelle's fans have watched Star Trek and continue to dream about the places and spaces they dare to envision themselves in. They boldly go to make the future better for everyone. Do you understand? Our grandparents, our ancestors, they went through so much. Wasn't this beautiful? Beyond Star Trek, Nichelle's fight for equality and interest in space exploration didn't stop when the Star Trek television series ended in 1969. The idea that Black people could and should one day travel to space planted itself in her mind. By 1977, NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, had already sent over 40 astronauts into space. Of those, 24 had landed on the moon. It didn't go unnoticed by Nichelle that they had all been white men. Recognizing Nichelle's groundbreaking impact on the people, NASA asked if she would help them make a positive connection with women and minoritized astronaut candidates. Nichelle accepted, but she warned, if I put my name and reputation on the line for NASA and I find qualified women and minority people to apply, and a year from now I still see a white all-male astronaut corpse, I will personally file a class action suit against NASA. Nichelle created a recruitment campaign to find candidates across the United States. She visited colleges and high schools. She produced a film with Apollo 12 astronaut Alan Bean to support her message that space is for everyone. She did astronaut training and received her very own NASA astronaut's uniform. In the end, Nichelle's efforts brought NASA a record 8,000 applicants. Her work to bring diversity to NASA's space program opened the door for many astronauts who would make U.S. history in space exploration, including Colonel Guion Bluford, Frederick Gregory, Dr. Mae Jemison, Sally Ride, and 3 crew members of the Space Shuttle Challenger. Ronald McNair, yes, Ellison Onizuka, and Judith Resnick. Ronald McNair, he has the scholar program, federal program for those pursuing their doctorates. And of course, Dr. Mae Jemison, I was at her alma mater this week at a basketball game over at Morgan Park High School. They're doing great things. That's what I'm saying, you all. Oh, we have work to do. The Challenger crew. And here they are. Some of the names that I just mentioned. This was wonderful. What a great surprise. Oh, Angela Dalton is a children's book author living in Oakland, California. And she has a website, angeladalton.com. And Lauren Simmer, best-selling children's illustrator, Visit her at laurensimmer.com. I know this is about to run out, but there's an author's note. When Star Trek first aired in 1966, I wasn't born yet. This is from the author. But by the time I was 7, watching reruns with my parents was as much of a treat as drinking Kool-Aid. Back then, I knew why I got excited when Star Trek came on. It was about the future and exploring different galaxies and planets. But I didn't understand the hold it had over my mom and dad. Now, as an adult and learning more about Nichelle and their influence on Americans and Star Trek during the civil rights movement, I understand my parents' sense of pride. They were finally seeing themselves being represented with dignity to millions of white people and embracing the idea that each of us can be significant in ways we may not know. Oh, before Star Trek, Black people were never seen as having a role in building a future in space. And now, because of Nichelle Nichols, we were. As I read about all her history-making achievements, I got to thinking about my work and my actions. Am I making an impact for positive change? Are we? I think this is an important question we need to ask ourselves so that we never underestimate how great each one of us can be. Nichelle Nichols isn't just an actress. She is the embodiment of promise and strength for so many people. I hope in reading her story, you will be inspired to dream big, believe in the importance of those dreams, and boldly go wherever they may take you. Thank you, Angela Dalton, for this inspiring reminder that we have, oh my goodness, a gem, jewel, greatness, treasure within each one of us. Now let's get moving. Good night.